This video will provide an introduction to the Sophia program, which was unanimously approved by the St. Mary's Board of Trustees in April 2010, having previously been unanimously endorsed by the students in student government. In many ways, Sophia is the college's new general education curriculum. But as you'll see, it's about much more than general education, because it's based upon learning outcomes that are meant to suffuse the student's entire educational experience, both inside and outside the classroom. This curriculum remains a work in progress, as requirements continue to be phased in as we move towards full implementation. Note, though, that each entering class is bound only to the requirements listed in the college bulletin in the year they begin at St. Mary's. In this video, you'll first learn about what Sophia is and how it came to be, and then you will see how Sophia fits into the context of the college's mission. Let's start with the name Sophia. The word itself comes from a Greek word meaning wisdom, from which we get words such as philosophy and sophomore. But Sophia also has a religious reference, since it appears in Scripture to represent God's wisdom. And many times these representations of divine wisdom are female. For example, the author of the Book of Wisdom states in chapter 7, verse 26, "For she is a reflection of eternal light, a spotless mirror of the working of God, and an image of God's goodness." This image of Lady Wisdom is the illustration of that passage from our St. John's Bible in the library. In Scripture, Sophia is a generative force active in creation and referred to as a mother in some passages. Still another female-gendered image of wisdom is in the Mary Seat of Wisdom bas-relief sculpture in the St. Mary's Student Center. Because Sophia has a classical liberal arts component in Greek thought, a theological component, and a female-gendered component, it was thought appropriate to a Catholic college for women in the liberal arts tradition. Understanding Sophia requires knowing what it replaced and what it tries to do. As many other places, St. Mary's had for its general education program a standard cafeteria model that functioned as an educational sampler. A little of this, a little of that. This produced lots of wonderful courses, but the overall curriculum shaded towards the plain vanilla, if for no other reason than that it could have been the same thing served at places very different from St. Mary's, which meant that some things most distinctive of who we are weren't really part of the menu. For example, there was nothing required of all students in the previous curriculum that gave any indication that St. Mary's was a women's college, even though there were, and remain, required religious studies courses. There was no acknowledgement that we're a Holy Cross institution, or that makes any difference for what we do or why we do it. While the curriculum included lots of choices, it wasn't really clear why certain things were being served together. The Jell-O and the mashed potatoes were each delicious by themselves, but really didn't have much to do with one another. Plus, we didn't have just one general education program. We actually had 6 different ones of varying sizes depending upon degree and major, with the smallest of them being less than half the size of the largest. So, general education wasn't even all that general. Think of Sophia as a curriculum designed to remedy those perceived deficits. We set out to make one general education curriculum that would be uniquely St. Mary's by basing itself upon learning outcomes derived from the college's mission statement. And by learning outcomes, we mean the knowledge, skills, and abilities that students are expected to have by the time they graduate. Since the college mission statement refers to our identity as a Holy Cross institution, resonances with the educational philosophy of Blessed Basil Moreau, 19th century founder of the Holy Cross Sisters, provide the foundation for Sophia. Holy Cross education is about information, formation, and transformation, and these components filled in broad categories of learning outcomes known around campus as LO1, LO2, and LO3 for Learning Outcome 1, 2, and 3. These are what we stand for as a college, our institutional signature. So the point is not to have a sampler platter, but a coherent cuisine that is intentional in how it is organized and specific in what it's supposed to provide. And these learning outcomes are served up as part of every St. Mary's student's education. It's true that most students don't choose a college based upon its general education curriculum, but another way to look at it is that general education is the most important thing a college teaches, because it's the only thing that everyone who walks in the door and walks across the stage gets. So, if there is to be a stamp of a St. Mary's education, Sophia is where the thumbprint of the institution meets the forehead of the graduate. Let me now give you some examples of these college-wide liberal learning outcomes. Catholic education in the liberal arts tradition values knowledge for its own sake and affirms the interconnectedness of all learning. Therefore, a St. Mary's student demonstrates the ability to look at issues from multiple perspectives, recognizing the effect that differences in areas such as gender, religion, values, culture, and privilege can have on the ways that people interpret and act in the world, and she makes connections across disparate settings and areas of study. As a women's college, St. Mary's emphasizes the value of women's voices and their distinctive contribution to intellectual life. Therefore, a St. Mary's student masters a broad set of sophisticated intellectual skills, including critical thinking, careful interpretation of complex texts and artifacts, accurate evaluation of data, investigative problem solving, quantitative reasoning, historical analysis, as well as technological, media, and information literacy. She reflects analytically on her experience as a woman, on the contributions of women's voices, and on constructions of gender. This learning outcome introduces women's voices and diffuses them throughout our curriculum in a way that, as far as we know, is unique among all our women's college and women's Catholic college peers. Furthermore, as a Catholic women's college, St. Mary's fosters respect and compassion for all people and honors leadership that improves the human community. Therefore, a St. Mary's student develops reflective and collaborative skills that enable her to learn from and participate in dialogue with diverse people and cultures. She does this by attaining competence in another language and by study and experience that reveal both cultural differences and the connections joining people in a global society. In keeping with the mission of the Sisters of the Holy Cross and their stance in solidarity with the poor and powerless, a St. Mary's student will evaluate social conditions, discern human needs, and be able to respond as an agent of change. So this curriculum is meant to equip students to be global citizens and to actually take them out into the world. One of the main tasks of education in the world of the 21st century will be how to live with difference. Sophia, for the first time at St. Mary's, introduces requirements in global learning, social responsibility, and intercultural competence. And it's meant to take students out of the classroom and into the world that they study through experiential learning. And it does all of this within the context of the values of our sponsoring congregation. Let's now turn to the Sophia diagram. That last learning outcome just mentioned draws directly on language found in the mission statement of the Sisters of the Holy Cross. As said before, Sophia seeks to be a uniquely St. Mary's education. That means being attentive to the tradition of the Sisters of the Holy Cross, who founded the college and continue to sponsor it. But it also means celebrating our identity as a women's college. Ultimately, we see in the Sophia diagram a meeting of our identities as a Catholic college and a women's college, as the ancient symbol for woman merges with the ancient symbol for Christianity. St. Mary's lives in that convergence, and therefore the Sophia program ought to reflect where we live. So let's put the pieces back together. If that's what Sophia is, how does it work? In the more text-based version of this diagram, you see our guiding values around the outermost ring. What makes the Sophia program more than just a collection of courses is its intentional integration, sometimes called its verticality or layering. So if we put the diagram on its side, what we see is a layered, integrated curriculum with the LO1 courses in a particular arm of the cross really setting the overall footprint. So, for example, an LO1 English literature class can be an LO2 Women's Voices class that is also an LO3 social responsibility offering. Whatever innovation this curriculum has, it is largely because of this layering or stacking. Another manifestation of this integration is that Sophia goes through the entirety of a student's academic experience, including her major. This diagram is the classical model of general education, with general education courses usually taken in the first 2 years to serve as the foundation for the student's major in her 3rd and 4th years. This second diagram is often how students regard their general education classes when they speak of wanting to get them out of the way, as if they were so many hurdles to overcome before getting to the good stuff. The third diagram is Sophia. Sophia courses weave through a student's major, and in fact merge in some cases with major courses, which may also carry Sophia credit if they satisfy the above learning outcomes. And Sophia also goes beyond traditional boundaries to the extent it values experience and engagement outside the classroom. Larger majors especially frequently incorporate Sophia requirements into the structure of their programs so that students can selectively double dip on requirements to stay on track to graduate on time. All departments have plans to take their majors from first year through to graduation. Students should consult with their advisors to form the path that's best for their individual academic goals and circumstances. So, to sum up, Sophia is a program and not a collection of courses. That is, it's meant to be an intentional configuration of learning outcomes and experiences arranged in a coherent way, namely, as an institutional signature appropriate to St. Mary's identity and values. It foregrounds and celebrates women's voices and diffuses them throughout the curriculum, and it highlights the charisms of the Sisters of the Holy Cross in making a difference in the world through social responsibility amidst diversity and requiring intercultural competence and global awareness. It therefore weaves through the entirety of a student's educational experience and brings it together around three main learning outcomes, including promoting and valuing experience or engagement outside the classroom. Finally, Sophia has gotten noticed by some outside of St. Mary's, and so we'll close with one such opinion. Thank you for watching.